reservations.
I like having my arms covered. Sick.
I do too.
It's comforting.
I hate having my arms out.
I think ours are for different reasons.
Yeah, they are.
Anyways, we already started. Hello. Welcome to Therapy Rebranded, where we're consistently
Inconsistent.
ding.
Hey, you did it. You switched around. I like that. I like that for us. Oh, wow.
Titties.
Wow, those are coming out today.
Yo, she goes like, I have my titties out. I'm like, yeah. She looks at me that. Gabe was like, my mom's gonna be there, and I was like, Rachel, pull your titties out. Piss her the off.
Make her more mad.
Oh God, he got divorced and I was hanging out with all whores.
How many horse shows do you have?
Yeah.
All of them.
Too many.
Can't have enough.
Anyways, let's get to these Reddits.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. Oh, I'm in a good mood today. Wow.
It's that weather.
It
It's
is
vitamin
the weather.
D. It does something to
Vitamin
us.
D.
I would love to have
Vitamin.
I would love to have some more. I also feel like giddy. What the Can't wait for our check-in. Okay. Am I the asshole for telling my pregnant 19-year-old daughter she needs to move out ASAP? My daughter, Rose, 19, was always a smart girl. She did well in school and got a full ride to a great school that is locally. She's been living with me and going to school and is doing well in school. She got this new boyfriend a few months ago who I don't like. I can smell the bullshit. He constantly lets her down but covers it up with a big smile and grand promises. Despite my warnings, they're still dating, and now she's pregnant. Of course.
Also, despite my warnings, who wants to hear warnings from their mom?
Ever. I offered to pay for the abortion and take a few days off work to take her and help her recover.
What a champion.
She said no. She's going to marry her boyfriend and there'll be one big happy family. Well, I wonder why she's running into his arms. He wants to move into my house and she'll drop out of school while he works to support them. He's a bartender who doesn't go to college. I laughed at this idea, which made her mad.
I would have laughed too. He's not your it's one thing for you, thing for you and your baby to live here. Your bullshitter man. No, he needs to save money so you can move in with him.
Literally.
What? Your man's not moving in.
She told me that since he can't move in, I'll need to step up and help with the baby more. Y'all, she has always been a very sensible child. I don't know where this all came from. She's in love. That's where it all came from.
She's grown too. Once you're pregnant, you think you're grown.
Yeah.
My mom had that experience. She was a 17-year-old parent, and you think you're grown. You think you're grown.
Mm-hmm. I'm working with a kid right now who I actually can't even name any of it, but it's like they're so young, but they think that they're a parent, or they think that they're an adult. They are a parent.
Well, they kind of are an adult in a lot of ways because the world calls them.
It's confusing. We've been naming this like confusion. It's like you're this age, but
you don't make good adult choices.
You don't make good adult choices.
But legally, you also get to make your own medical decisions when you have a baby. So the world also reinforces that you're an adult. I don't know if people knew that, but go ahead.
I flat out told her that if she thinks she's grown enough to have and raise a child and get married, then she needs to move out soon and manage being an adult with a child's father. I raised the one child I wanted. I do not want any more children living in my home. I told her I'd pay for diapers here and there and I'd still visit her, but this baby is 0% my responsibility. If she chooses adoption, which I'm pretty sure she wouldn't, I'd be willing to help her navigate that. She won't talk to me. My husband, her stepdad, is staying out of this but thinks I could help more. I told him he's welcome to go over and babysit for her, and that shut him up. Am I the asshole? Edit. I had my daughter when I was 19. I was married to her father who was in the military. I still graduated college on time at the age of 22, and everything worked out well for us until he died in service. The fact that it worked out okay for me is clouding my daughter's judgment, I think. Her trashy boyfriend can't even offer her or her child health insurance. It is a completely different scenario. Also, so many of you are suggesting I still let her live with me and keep the baby. This is not happening. She's like, I'm not doing this, y'all. I do not want a baby in my home, period, and I'm not babysitting either. I'll do normal grandparent stuff like show up to birthday parties and buy gifts here and there, but that's it.
So her edit of like, I had my kid at 19 actually makes sense because her daughter's like, well, you did it. Why can't I do it? I don't understand. Like, what's the issue? But the issue, so here's how I feel. I call bullshit. I would be shocked if she gives birth to this baby and is homeless and this mom doesn't let her live there.
Yeah.
But I feel her. She's sensing what's coming down the pipeline, which is that I'm going to have to parent this baby basically, or I'm going to have to like co-parent with these other two kids because they have no idea what they're doing,
which is gonna stink.
And I guess she's probably sensing that the dad's a loser. She didn't say that, but she's basically saying that dad's a loser.
She all but said that.
Do you think this mom is wrong? Let's say she doesn't let them live with her. Is she wrong for that? Like if this kid is like literally like on the street, is she wrong for that?
Yeah. If you're homeless on the street and you can't let your daughter and your grandchild stay with you, yeah, I think that's wrong.
Even though she did something that you were like, don't do it. So this is like the thing. I feel like kids have babies knowing like, oh, when the baby comes, you're not about to be about it. I'm going to force you to do this thing you don't want to do.
Yeah, I think that too. I think it's both. Because I can't imagine kicking my kid out. I can't imagine my mom doing it, but I'm sure she would like to hold a boundary, or I would hold, I don't know. I think in a perfect world, yeah, but I don't think anybody really knows how hard it is to have a baby.
No, she's delusional.
She's delusional.
Deluded. And it's her only child, so she didn't grow up with younger siblings. She doesn't know what she's walking into. She did not see babies being raised.
Right.
She's not about it. But I just thought this was interesting because
I think it depends. Yeah, it depends on your angle.
I think in different cultures, this would be foul. I think it also depends on your culture. I think there's a lot of cultures where people live together generationally and like family's family and you take care of them and that's it, period.
What might happen? I think I'm curious about like the context. I don't know.
If your kid had a baby with someone who was not shit and you were like, don't have a baby, and they had the baby.
So I think this is the angle thing, is like, is your angle to like keep your child safe? And is like, I really don't think this person is good. Like, I'm going to be supportive so that maybe she can like, if she needs to come here, she can, because I know this person's going to fuck her over. Or there's maybe a different lesson, and no, like, you made a choice. You're an adult. Stick with your choices. So
this mom is like she reminds me of like a shitty boyfriend. So I feel like when somebody gets knocked up and their boyfriend or the guy they're seeing really doesn't want them to have the baby, they're really mean to them. And they draw all these really hard lines and boundaries in hopes that they will abort. Yeah. Like, if I make this woman feel like she's completely alone, like she'll have no support, no love, no respect, I'll hate her for it. She'll abort this baby. And kind of feel like mom's taking that angle. Like, if I can just let her know that she's going to have nothing, she might abort this baby.
She's like, if I'm such a hard ass, that like scares her into like, she'll have like not the support that she wants. She'll abort the baby. Yeah. Which would be a best case scenario in the mom's eyes.
I think so. And I also think parents feel like, I can see what you can't see, and I'm actually doing you a favor. Like, if you aborted this baby, it was a favor. But on the flip side, when I see women, and I've heard about women who had abortions because they were pressured to have abortions, they usually get pregnant pretty quickly afterwards out of the guilt and shame of getting rid of a baby they didn't want to get rid of. Like, it's also a real loss mental health-wise to feel pressured into having an abortion. That also doesn't go well. Yes. It doesn't have good outcomes.
Exactly.
Like, if the kid does abort the baby because of all of this pressure, she will never have the same relationship with her mom. No. It's a crappy situation, though, because I sure as hell don't want to raise...
And I get it. If you've already raised your kid, you don't want to go back.
Well, she's not even 40. This mom's not even 40 too. So she's like, I'm about to have my golden years. I'm about to go out here and do all my shit. Like, while everybody else was turning up in their 20s, I'm doing that shit in my 40s.
Exactly.
I'm doing all the 40s things. I'm being selfish. I'm having friends. I'm being self-centered. Like, who knows how much she was looking forward to not parenting after being parenting front since 19.
This is what's been getting her through.
All right, on to the next?
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it. That was a good little segment.
That was a good one.
Okay. My boyfriend won't marry me if I don't give him sex every day.
I'm the
Who can blame him?
My boyfriend, 25 male, and I, 26 female, have been together for 7 years. That in itself is nuts. So, 17? 18?
Let me get my calculator.
18? Yeah,
18.
We have 2 kids together, 3 years and 16 months, and have discussed marriage. In the last 2 years, he's increasingly become more vocal about the lack of sex we have. This morning, we got into a disagreement about how he needs sex every day, or at least needs me to attempt. After going back and forth for a minute, explaining that my sex drive isn't like that, I struggle with horribly weak pelvic floor, hormonal imbalance, chronic depression / anxiety, grieving the loss of my grandma, and I've been dealing with life postpartum as a stay-at-home mom. Managing my mental health has been a battle lately. He's incredibly supportive in all ways, so that's what he said to me. Managing my mental health has been a battle lately. He's incredibly supportive in all ways, so what he said to me really sent me back and made me not want to have sex anymore.
So not incredibly supportive.
At all. You're deluded.
Right.
He said sex every day is a need, that I gave him that when we were first together, and that's one of the main reasons he got serious with me in the first place.
Oh,
as children? You guys were children.
Oh, my God.
What's going on?
I can't even imagine how this feels to hear.
And you already got 2 kids. Ugh. He said if I want him to make his wife, to make me his wife that we have to get back to that, or at least to attempt to have sex every day, even if it gets interrupted somehow. He doesn't want to have to find it somewhere else, ... I've been waiting years to be engaged and married to him, and this crushed me. I feel like he's putting too much of our relationship on sex. My love language is physical touch, and I wouldn't say if he doesn't cuddle me, I wouldn't marry him, ? Now he's saying that he won't marry me if I don't give him sex every day. He says to ask any woman how often they give their man sex, and they'll say every day, if not most days out of the week.
What?
Mind you, we have sex like twice a week, at least once.
Who's he talking to?
Other fucking
men who are lying.
Yes. Also, like, you guys have been together for a really long time, since your teenage years. I bet you were having sex every day before you didn't have kids and you were 19. Duh.
A man's peak sexual virility at 19.
It's not peak. They don't peak at 19.
They don't really peak at 19.
Actually, I thought we did.
I actually think it's pretty close.
Is it 19?
Like,
20s.
and the women are like,
I thought it was
30 or
early
whatever,
20s.
right?
No, it's 19. I believe that.
It might not be like right 19. It's like 19 to 22 maybe.
Yeah.
I'm just peeking now.
Please. We don't have the free time to lay around all day, responsibility free. We have friends. He has a full-time, We don't have the free time to lay around all day, responsibility free. We have kids. He has a full-time job. I'm tired all the time. I don't get any time off or any time away from my kids. The last time I was away from them was February for 2 hours.
Bro, can we just pause on how much time she's spending
justifying this sick-ass behavior?
This sick-ass behavior.
If I don't want to fuck you, make me want to fuck you.
If I don't want to fuck you, oh my God.
Make me want to fuck you. Please.
I command you to
Give
fuck me.
me an extra hour of sleep every night and I'll fuck you.
You don't
take the kids for an hour when you get off work and I'll fuck you. Like, it's not that
You don't
hard.
want to fuck me. You're doing all these other things. Oh my God.
And I'll go get it elsewhere. I've heard guys make that, and it's fucking hilarious almost.
It's a threat.
Like,
They're already doing it.
Like, but as if.
They are already doing it. You're right.
Probably, I guess. But there's so many of them where you go, like, you couldn't get anywhere else anyway. You got her manipulated.
Else. Yeah. They are my 24/7 job during the day, and if they're up at night, breastfeeding takes so much energy from me, along with my inability to sleep through the night. What the hell do I do? I feel like he is absolutely committing sexual coercion. I feel defeated. I feel like my value to him has gone down. If I can't deliver, will he cheat? I wasn't prepared for any of this.
It hasn't gone down. It was always.
Does it feel like coercion to you? Coercion.
Yeah, yes. He's pressuring. He's leveraging the relationship that they've built over. Like, of course, it's means something to her.
I'm also gonna say you're 26, baby girl. Stand up.
That too. Stand up for sure and walk.
Stand up. And he's a piece of shit. And she can't just walk out because she's a stay-at-home mom.
Right.
She's like,
that's what I'm saying. So it is coercion because he literally has the power in the situation.
Also, like, I literally can't think of anything that would make me drier than him threatening to cheat on me if I didn't give up the sex. There's nothing, I don't think men understand this, and some men do, but I don't think younger men do. There's nothing more unattractive than a man who wants to have sex with a woman who doesn't want to have sex with him back. Like, you'd be willing to have me, not even like in a rapey way, but like, you're willing to have me as your woman, just give you sex that we both know I don't want to do, that I'm not into. Yes, pity.
Think how many guys just like pay for prostitutes, right? And
That's
it's like
better.
they don't want to have sex with, like, you know, that's why I like, to me, I'm not against prostitution, but I wouldn't do it because I need to be deluded enough to think the chick wants to fuck me.
I just can't imagine being like, yeah, I don't really give a what your sex drive is and all of that. Like, I need it.
I don't care how I'm turning you on or how I'm interacting with you that might turn you on. Nothing. Just nothing.
No
just
matter what.
Why aren't you sucking me?
I'm going to hold the carrot. The carrot is marriage.
Why
do you want to marry him? He's already shitty. Just saying.
It's almost like the guys are misogynists or something.
Almost.
Almost.
It's almost like, yeah.
Edit. Just so everyone knows before making assumptions, I'd like it to be known that regardless of this specifically, he is a great and equal partner.
No
I've never viewed him as a man-child. He loves to clean and cook. He parents. How does he parent, but you have only gotten 2 hours alone since February? And you wrote this week. How does he parent? Please, baby girl. Please. Please.
You gotta leave. Stand up.
Stand up!
Stand up, sis.
He loves to clean and cook. He parents. I get gifts and flowers regularly. He's an amazing dad. He never brings work stress home. He spoils me with attention, etc. This has completely flipped my perspective of what our relationship is and how he views me. How could he stay with me and continue to raise our family as a boyfriend but won't marry me because we don't have enough sex? Well, I can clue you in. He doesn't want you to be his wife.
At all.
And he's getting all the goods without it.
And
so why would he?
And he's not going to.
And he doesn't want to share his money with you because right now you're just free childcare. He's taking care of you, but you're also free childcare. And he doesn't want to make it so that you guys are equals and you have say in the money.
Yeah.
But maybe you give him pussy every night, which is a lie. And I also feel like it's a game because that's like almost impossible. To consistently do that with 2 kids that age it feels impossible to me.
Also, do you really want to every day?
Well, he wants her to attempt, whatever that means.
He wants to feel wanted. Ew.
Is it just a power thing?
It does feel like a power thing.
A dominance thing, yeah.
It actually feels like he just doesn't want to marry her and he's giving her something that's unachievable.
I was gonna say it feels like he resents her. Like it's truly like revenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And maybe their life is pretty hard. I mean, she was 23 when they had their first kid. They have 2 kids by 26. That's a lot.
I'll tell you one thing that's hard.
That dick. Edit 2.
Clearly not.
A frequently asked question in the comments is if he was okay during the 6-week postpartum period. So that's the answer. So here's that answer. He did and didn't mind not having sex or that it went a little longer than 6 weeks for both our kids. Oh, did you go a little longer than 6 weeks?
Right.
Is he okay?
Are you okay?
Were people bringing things to their house for him?
Yeah.
I know he'd like to know how important it is to get.
Did your get to heal from being ripped all the way to the asshole yet? I want to strangle him and her for having a second baby.
Oh.
I had an ectopic pregnancy, which causes me to have severe pain every month during ovulation for 2 to 5 days. And during my period, he's never complained if we can't have sex then. What a champion.
He's actually a pretty good guy.
Oh, he's the shit. He does. He takes care of everything during my periods, and especially during the days I'm keeled over during ovulation. Does he watch the kids?
He babysits his kids when she's on her period. I'm crying.
But he doesn't, because she hasn't had a moment alone since February. So you're a bullshitter. You're a bullshitter. I'm so infuriated. And I'm going to call you out right now, Rachel. But this is how I used to feel when I would talk to Rachel about her relationship. Like, she'd be like, have moments of sanity. Nothing like this. But she'd have moments of sanity where she'd say the negative thing. And then right after, she'd have to say all these positive things about him. Just say the negative thing.
Well, you can't.
Just say the negative thing.
But you know that. In the moment, you can't. It feels like disloyal.
I know, but it's not.
Now we know that. But in the moment, you don't know that. And you're on the outside.
It's so hard. I'm just
so hard.
Talk shit about him.
It's so hard.
Because I'm not going to tell him. He's not seeing this Reddit post. You just run him down.
It's not about you, though. It's about the idea that he's going to be right, that I'm not loyal because I'm talking shit. I am doing the thing that he's saying.
Yeah.
So it's like you're already so spun in.
Ugh. Update. After taking a few days away from the conversation and focusing only on the kids, we were able to have an actual conversation, not a heated argument led by emotions. Oh, was he just mad? I explained to him that this whole thing really hit me out of left field. I thought we were really doing well, that I thought he wanted to get married, thought everything was great. I re-explained everything I was going through and how hard things have been lately, but he wouldn't know because I'm keeping my shit together all day, and especially when he comes home. In all caps, he apologized. He said he was being arrogant, unreasonable, and let his emotions get the best of him. He explained that as much as he loves our kids, he misses what we had before, the freedom, the constant connecting, the ability to melt into each other whenever we felt like it. Does a man say that? The ability to melt into each other whenever we felt like it?
No.
She wrote that.
That's insane.
She's
writing
that.
her own fantasies.
She is. Thank you. I lost my spot. He said it wasn't fair to him to lash out and that everything was great and he does want to marry me, so on and so forth. We touched on almost every topic of what's going on with me, and he's already offered to schedule me a massage if I want, to help in any way possibly with correcting my pelvic floor pain and everything else. He did explain that sex in his way of connecting with me, and even though there are other ways, that just happens to be his favorite. Oh, is it?
I can't. Can you just stop? I can't hear more of this.
No. He misses, bitch, don't ever be this again. He misses the me I was and was worried I was starting to shut him out. I told him that he could have asked. He said he did, but I only ever said I was fine. My fault, I guess. I don't like sharing when I'm feeling down, having anxiety, or become depressed, so I do everything I can to mask that. She has taken this all on as her fault.
Yeah.
Every bit of it, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
She's in an
She
abusive
seems
relationship.
insane.
You think she's in an abusive relationship? Yeah.
You don't think so? Yo, the way she's talking,
Yeah.
it's not because of what he's doing, it's how she's talking about herself. I'm not even saying that she's like,
You're right.
it's definitely that's what I'm saying. Like, we're like, bitch, what are you thinking? But
let me just finish. He said he usually could tell if I wasn't actually fine, but I haven't been showing any signs of my usual not fine behavior. He said he would never look outside of our relationship for sex or coerce me into something I don't want to, and that he just wants me back like how he used to have me.
is that not coercive language?
It is. All to himself, uninterrupted. I might have caused some loneliness or insecurity. I don't know. Oh, she made him insecure. There we go. That cuddling and even sitting next to each other gets interrupted by the kids, and he doesn't know what to do. Apologizing again, he made it clear he doesn't want sex until I do, and if I don't want it, then it won't happen. He doesn't want sex until he hears that I want it. It's a clear communication problem and lack of alone time.
Okay,
he
girl.
even offered couples therapy to help us through this rough patch of not enough. Obviously, I'm upset about this. Conversations will continue to be had, and the work to try and mend this will be done. I'm still emotionally and physically distancing myself from him. All the emotions I'm feeling, but as long as he's committed to doing his part, as he says, I can work with him. Lost cause. Is that bogus? A lost cause.
I don't know.
That's how I'm feeling. Cause? No, but he wasn't doing this shit this blatant.
Yeah, he was. Saying shit like you aren't who you are before, like just shit like that. It's like those, but I'm saying I think it's those things. Like,
yeah.
Do you think that like, to me, this whole thing is a fucking fantasy almost. Like I don't know that I trust.
She's living in La La
trust
Land.
the narrator, right?
I trust the narrator completely. But you know why? Because I'm reading between the lines.
Right.
And the reason why I trust what she's saying about him is because I can tell woman to woman she's being generous.
Right.
So I trust what she's saying about him. So because she's being generous.
Well, nobody actually talks like this in a quote unquote healthy relationship.
Have you ever had a grown man say he wanted to melt into you?
Yes, shit like that.
Really?
Yes.
Melt into you.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's like
I'm drying up.
Shit. That's what I'm saying.
Your picker is broken.
That's what I'm saying. It is.
The whole
but
thing.
they say when they want you to like come back. It's like they're like, I'm just going through something. I just want to be one with you. It's always
one.
Like, it's always that shit. It's always like, let's be one. Let's be like, it's that type of shit. It's just.
Why is that appealing?
It sounds good. It's like romantic.
It is.
It sounds like
you don't laugh at that when you hear it. Like ever? Like it's never been kind of funny? Like when they're that...
Sorry, y'all. How long have we been doing the show? How long have we been talking about my attachment stuff? Are we really figuring this out right now?
We are. Well, here's my thing is like, when I was in a relationship with someone toxic, like I loved when he would say all the right things, but it was because there was no drama. It's not because I felt like, ooh, the corny shit you're saying is hitting.
It's not that though. It's not that it's like the thing you've always wanted. It's just that it's like the switch.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
So mean to you, and then he's being so loving. You're not even like hearing those specifics. It's just like, oh, I'm safe again. Your body just feels safe again.
Yeah, and I also,
like, oh, we're together again. It's okay now.
She's still in that stage in her relationship where she doesn't want it to be true that he's shitty. So any evidence he gives her that he's not shitty, she'll lie to herself.
Right, exactly. Well, she's gaslighting herself.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, yeah. So actually, what I was going to ask, and I think Rachel sort of maybe answered it, but so would you guys say it's common where these guys? Because as you were reading it, I'm like, these extremes are so far, right? Like he's just being a fucking piece of dog shit and then saying this like eloquent kind of things. Yeah. Is that like, I mean, have you guys experienced that with guys? Yeah, Rachel. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I've experienced extremes. And when this is the fucked up part is when you're young and immature, you think that someone's saying things like that to you. Mm-hmm. There's something about it that feels honest. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, he's telling me the truth and I feel special.
He's actually a really vulnerable guy.
Not even vulnerable.
No, it's what you think.
I don't think vulnerable when I hear this, but if I was in this position, I would think like, well, at least he said it to my face, but I would have bailed out. So that's where like we're a little different. But I think like, also, I think when you already have 2 kids with someone, you want it to work out, you read and see everything through a different lens because you're hoping it'll work. You really will lie to yourself.
Yeah.
Just to not have to blow up your life.
Yeah.
People do it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
People do it all the time.
Speaking of lying to themselves, this next person that we're talking about, if he stayed with this girl, he lied to himself.
Hi, Reddit. I don't usually post this kind of stuff on here, but I'm in such a clusterfuck of confusion. So I made a throwaway account to get some perspective and to see if I'm overreacting, justified my feelings, or if I'm giving my girlfriend mixed signals. Here's the quick backstory. Girlfriend and I have been living together a year, have been together 2 years, known each other for 4 years. She's 22 and I'm 25. We both work full-time, cohabitate well together, and have no constant issues or arguments except this. Dun, dun, dun. I apologize if this story is TMI, but I feel this is necessary to get the full picture. So 18 plus warning advance.
Ooh.
So this person loves trigger warnings.
They do. It's cute.
It is cute. So we spent the first year of our relationship strictly using condoms. How? As time went on, as in a little less than a year ago, we started getting more lax with the condoms. So for the past year, we've been using the pull-out method. Stupid, I know. But the odds don't seem to be that high. I've Googled extensively and it said it's about 10 to 15% chance of pregnancy occurring within a year.
I feel anxious just reading it.
So we figured by the time an accident happens, we will be prepared for a child. Oh, they're like white hippies. They're hands down from Minnesota. I just feel like this is a Minnesota love story.
Go ahead.
But we both agreed that right now isn't the right time to have kids, as we live in a one-bedroom and don't make enough money to support another human. We send each other baby reels on TikTok, talk about our future marriage or children, have discussed names, how many we want, etc. That's where the possibility of a mixed signal is.
No, you're just dreaming.
Yeah. TMI part. So last night we had sex. I finished on her. While I went into the other room to get a towel to clean her up, I walked into the bedroom to find, well, something odd. She had my cum on her fingers and was inserting it into herself. It was her ovulation time and has been the past few days, according to her app. I obviously was in complete shock since I've never been in this situation before. She has been my first sexual relationship.
That's how he did condoms,
Yeah.
in case you were wondering.
Yeah,
For a year.
that did.
Yeah.
I straight up asked her what she was doing. She looked at me and didn't say anything, or at least looked like she didn't know what to say. I asked her if she was doing what I thought she was doing. Sorry, just go to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And she nodded her head and she said she was sorry. She said she just really wanted to have a kid and got mixed signals, but I call BS. She profusely apologized over and over. She didn't sleep all night. She said she just got the urge and didn't think twice because of how we're living together, and I must not care that much because I use the pull-out method. That was just so manipulative and not excuse at all. I told her that I can't trust her and I don't know where we stand at this point. She won't stop apologizing. Sounds about right.
Is he an asshole for ending things, or there's more?
No, I don't think he's an asshole for ending things.
I don't think he's an asshole for ending things. And
No.
for me, the issue about this is that this was so disingenuous. Like,
Yeah.
have a conversation with me about the fact that, like, you want to have kids sooner.
It's sneaky as fuck.
I can never trust them
I can
again.
never trust you.
This is too big of a decision.
Well, I can't
for
have a
you.
kid with you.
No.
You're going to do some weird shit. Like, you're the type to,
Absolutely.
like, give our kid medication even though I don't want them to, or do some weirdo, like, I just, ew, no. Absolutely not.
It also just, it really feels as though, you know, you don't have any respect for what I want or care about
Mhm.
at all.
You actually don't care about me. This is, like, not love at all.
And she took advantage of the fact that from every signal you gave her, if she would have accidentally got pregnant, accident in air quotes, that you would have been a nice guy about it. And so
Right.
she was setting you up for that, to be like, we both are in this fuck situation. We made this bad choice. I guess the pull-out method didn't work.
Right.
She was setting you up to do some sneaky, conniving shit, and I'm backing out
I'm backing out.
anytime somebody's doing that. And also, if this is your first sexual partner, I'm going to guess you guys aren't that old.
Yes.
And so, like, also you're trying to trap me at a young age, which is, trapping is wrong, period. But, like, you're changing the course of my life.
The whole trajectory.
And I'm already telling you I'm willing to have kids with you when we're open and ready. Like, there's nothing about this. I don't think there's mixed signals at all. I think the signal was very clear. When we
Yeah.
are financially able to have a kid, I want to have a kid with you. That was the signal, right?
I don't know why, and I feel like this is the thing that women fuck up a lot. They're like, they just can't hear the not right now.
And also,
They
because
just
they don't
can't hear
believe
that
it.
right now. They
They're too
don't.
anxious.
Yeah.
Baby feels like security when
It
you're
does.
young. When
It
you're young,
does.
it feels like you get to keep this man forever because
It
you had a
does.
baby with him. And that's not true.
It's not true.
There's
and it never
nothing
works
true
out
about
that
it.
way.
Actually, I've never seen men run faster than when they feel trapped. They might stay with you, but they hate you and they'll cheat on you. And if they are an honest person, they'll leave you because
Yeah.
they hate you for it.
They can't not.
How could I? I would hate you.
I would hate you.
I would hate you. So I absolutely feel like it's just run for the hills.
Do it.
Run for the hills.
Yeah, run, sister girl. You don't want this.
It's a guy.
That's what I mean. Sorry.
Sister boy.
Sister boy.
Sister boy.
Run, sister boy.
Anyways, on to spicy topics because we have a lot this week.
We do have a lot.
We got a lot of TT.
Let's do it.
I just want to get into the fact that the juice died. OJ.
Which is nuts.
Nuts.
I popped up on my
I thought
phone.
he was like a cockroach. I was like, he's going to outlast all of us. He's indestructible. That's how I think about the juice.
And now there's like all these think pieces about like what kind of cancer did he die from? It was it was prostate cancer, and there's like we need to pay more attention to prostate cancer in black men. And I was like, oh, come the on, you guys. Oh, I just love Black Twitter during these types of things.
It's
like
great.
It's just the best part.
He is like
he's the most unserious person ever.
And I do think that the Black community gets off on how much he bothers white people. Like, just his existence bothers white people. Just the fact that this murderer is walking around the world. Because he's a murderer.
Well, it's not... Black people are never... I saw that. It was like, Black people are never debating whether or not he did it. It's just that we're happy that he got away with it. Because white people get away with that shit every day.
If the glove don't fit, acquit.
Acquit. Every cheater's favorite fucking line.
Caitlyn Jenner tweeted good riddance to OJ.
Even though she's a killer.
What?
She, like, killed somebody in a motor vehicle accident in, like, the 90s.
But it's not an accident.
No, but it was like manslaughter or some shit like that. It was like
I just thought the good riddance was funny because all of the Black rumors going around about how OJ is actually Courtney's dad. Or was it Chloe's dad. And so I just thought it was funny that Caitlyn tweeted good riddance because I'm like, you kind of did you do that just to get attention and spark media focus? Yes. And also, like, wasn't it a Kardashian who literally represented him? So why are we saying good riddance? It's like you hating on your girl's ex still.
On your kid's dad.
Still. To this day. No. Not OJ as the dad. I mean, like, as Rob Kardashian or whatever was the one who was his attorney.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's hating on his kid's dad.
Yeah, like, I thought you meant OJ. I was like, he doesn't know.
No. That's so funny.
ESPN's documentary. I don't know if you ever watched their documentary they did on OJ, but it was like a phenomenal cultural piece. Like, it was a 10 out of 10. The way that they were able to kind of talk about the ways that almost like OJ's trial was like a proxy race war between white and Black people. Like, they were fighting out all these different things through the trial.
But OJ doesn't even like Black people.
I know.
Like is strong.
But isn't that always how we do symbolism anyways? I feel like a lot of times the people that we pull out of culture to use as a symbol, it's not about who they are as people. It's about what they represent to us. It has nothing to do with how they've behaved. It's what they represent to us. And I feel like what he represented to us at that time was a Black person who, if they were white and had all the same credentials, would have been acquitted. And it felt special that he was acquitted.
It did.
He's a foul, murderous piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit.
And they made sure he got his because they, like, put him in jail and threw him under the jail, basically, for, like, 13 years or something over stealing his own memorabilia back.
Well, it felt like people were like, oh, no, this is their get back.
It is their get back. It was their get back.
It is.
There was. I don't know. You have an older Black dad. Did he ever have any thoughts on OJ?
No, I don't know if we've ever talked about OJ. No? I think it's like the same as everybody else.
Yeah. But do you actually feel like you're glad he got off? Because now we didn't grow up in that time period. I know. I don't. We have like a different cultural piece from it. It feels like history to me.
It feels like history. It's been such a joke thing. You know what it reminds me of is like when people talk about R. Kelly and how Black people feel about, like, he's literally a child predator, right? He's literally like a piece of shit, like the worst of the worst to me, right? And yet he's in the Boondocks and we make jokes about him. We make jokes about listening to his music.
He's the butt of the joke, though.
He's the butt of the joke. But I think OJ is like that, too, with that, like, in the getaway car. Like, people are making fun of, like, he wasn't, like, this decorated guy in his old age. He was kind of like this old, decrepit guy. And it's like...
He was a troll.
He was a troll, for sure. He definitely trolled people on his own. I don't know. I feel like... I mean, if that happened in this day and age, we'd be like, throw him under the jail.
Would we?
Except for, I think that the racial aspect still, like, plays a lot of,
I think it plays a lot.
A Black man killing a white woman is, like, you can't not, it just has to, it's, like, the most racialized thing that there is, I feel like.
Yes.
It's, like, every trope.
I think I feel torn because I wish that her family would have gotten justice, but I also don't want to take away his cultural meaning for the movement by having him being convicted. Like, I feel like that would have felt like a defeat.
I just feel like for Black people, we could pick a different hero.
He's not a hero.
I think so. When he was getting away in the Bronco and Black people were cheering him on, it's like he's getting away. Not for the crime, but because of, like, what he achieved in, like, not getting caught. I think he is for Black people.
Well, first of all, he was a hero before then.
Oh, well, yeah.
Because of his
he's an
athletic
incredible
abilities.
Athlete.
But I don't think he was a hero for getting away with it. I don't perceive that. I feel like it was like, yeah, rub salt in the wound. We have salt in our wound all the time. None of that's about OJ. That's why it makes him not the hero. He didn't do anything to get off. I feel like we even clown about his lawyers. Like, he didn't do anything to get himself off except for be famous.
Yes.
That's what he did. He was famous and wealthy.
That's true.
That's all he contributed to himself getting off. He didn't do any of that.
No, he did everything wrong to get off. He literally did everything wrong to get off.
Everything wrong.
He was like asking to get caught.
Yes. So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting because there's some people who are sad about it and there's some people who are celebrating, and both of those things feel off.
It does. Well, being sad about it is weird to me because
you don't know that nigga.
You don't know
and
that
he's
nigga.
not. He doesn't have meaning to you. I know that you can be sad about people who have no meaning.
Well, bro, like
to
nobody,
you.
right? Nobody. It's not like his music lives on. Nobody's watching like reruns of like his like
highlight reels.
Yeah. Like it's not. It's like how athletes just fade off into the distance, except he's like the most infamous athlete.
They don't fade off into the distance.
I think old ones do.
No.
Unless they're announcers on TV, we don't know about them.
No.
You don't think so? Not the old athletes?
Like who?
Like what? I don't know. Who's like another older, like...
What do you mean? I don't feel like cultural icons just fade off into the distance. I feel like sometimes they're not talked about like directly about what they're doing now, but like Michael Jordan will be relevant in 50 years.
Oh, yes. Well, I think it's like, but I think like he could have been like that and he ended up like, he can't even gracefully fade into the distance. He just kind of like fell off.
Yeah.
Like his life kind of fell apart.
Yes. Yes. I agree with that. Totally.
It was just, I just saw the notification pop up on my phone and I was like, what a weird thing.
Yeah. My boyfriend came out and was like, the juice died.
You're not even from here.
Get me out of here. No, he said that, so my partner's from Grenada and he said that, like, it was the same thing back in Grenada.
Okay.
Like, they were all watching the trial on TV. Like, his dad talks about how he was watching the trial on TV and, like, yeah, get off. Like,
I guess
black people around the world were rooting for him to get off. Black people around the world were like, and I think at the time, to be fair, it was unclear if he did it. While the trial was going on and all of that, it was unclear because the way that we see the public framing black men, any evidence that was giving was like, is this framing? Especially in the 90s. Is this framing? Is he being framed? Is everyone just mad that he was with this white lady and it was inconceivable that he would just let her be and they wouldn't be together? Like, I think there was true skepticism happening at the time. And now afterwards, it's like a running joke that everybody always knew. But I actually don't think that's true. I think some people really were confused whether or not he did it.
I think people were confused. And I also think that like it was stoked, like, Rodney King had like happened and there was all this other like tension happening specifically in like California and LA. And so it was like get back for that too.
Well, yeah.
It was like this black man was like wrongfully accused of something. And now this man like, yeah, he probably did something. Yeah, he's not really for black people, but we're going to like take this as a win.
Yeah. Well, I also think there's this thing of like, people don't understand this who don't grow up in cities, but like I work, for instance, I'll give the Minneapolis example. I work with a lot of people who don't live in Minneapolis who feel like cops are great. And, like, I can't say whether I think... I personally don't think, like, being a police officer is this great, heroic thing. That's my perspective. That's my opinion. I know a lot of people are going to disagree.
There's so many other things you could do if you want to help people.
And I get people feel like, oh, well, it's something that's needed. I don't fully agree with that either. So, but that's another topic for the day. But, like, people don't understand, like, the way I grew up interacting with MPD, Minneapolis Police Department specifically, I have personal hate towards MPD. People don't understand that. People growing up in LA at that time have personal hate towards LAPD. It's not cops as this abstract idea. I personally hate the police department in my neighborhood. I'm personally glad to watch that mother burn. I remember friends in high school being too drunk, getting picked up on curfew, being assholes to cops, getting their ass beat and dumped somewhere. Like, I have personal negative feelings against MPD. And I think a lot of people, whether police are good or bad, is an abstract idea.
Yeah.
They don't have personal negative feelings towards it. They didn't grow up with an oppressive police department in their city. And I think LAPD is MPD times 10. And so people were personally like, LAPD will do anything possible to fuck over this rich black guy, and felt it in their bones and meant it.
The LAPD is literally, it's like the biggest police force in the world.
And their ass.
And their ass. And NYPD is probably second. It's up there.
It's up there. Speaking of policing, there was recently who was convicted was the Michigan shooter's parents, the Crumbly family.
Wait, are we not checking in?
Oh, yeah, we are.
I just remembered.
Yeah.
Should we stop and check in?
Yeah, let's stop and check in.
Okay, you go first.
Okay. Let me think. I've had a terrible week because I like kind of was going to lose my therapist. Basically, my insurance won't pay for my therapist because they said that my therapist isn't covered under them in the new year.
Insane.
Even though my therapist is listed on their website as somebody that they cover. So I'm 4 months into the year, which means what's going to happen with my bill? Like, am I going to get billed what insurance is supposed to get? Am I get back billed, or is my therapist not going to get paid? It's one of the two. And then what do I do going forward? And the long story short of all of this is that in the thought of losing my therapist, which I've never thought about, I've been seeing her for 6 years. I realized that she is the only adult in my life who's not a friend. I have friends that get me.
It doesn't count.
The only adult in my life who can handle the full, like, brevity of my mental health and not crumble up under it. The only one. There is not a single other adult in my life who can deal with my mental health in a real way. And
what's that been like to just like...
It's jarring.
Yeah.
Specifically because it makes me sad because I pay for her, and I obviously pay for your therapist, and like I get paid for, and I truly care. So it's not about like...
Now, I'm sorry to interrupt this wonderful check-in, but it got a little too personal. So if you'd like to hear the rest of it, subscribe to us on Patreon. Now, back to the show.
I know we could go all night.
I know we really could, but because I was like, we have two other things to get to that I like want to get to because they're timely. Like if we don't get to them, it won't be worth talking about next week. Yeah. But is that I think the reason why you're able to have highs and lows rather than just consistent lows is I feel like you have more space because you're not working. And it's not because having a job itself is draining. Yes, that's true. But I think more specifically that your job was a lot more of like a drain on your spiritual energy and like soul than you thought it was.
Ooh.
And now you have like spiritual energy, I feel like, to give to yourself.
Yes.
Like you can have highs and like feel it and fill it up. And what it was is like you were having moments of realization and not having any time or space to process them. So it's just consistent realization moments and lows, and you're just going.
And I've just been letting myself, I realize I let myself feel the full breadth of something, and it doesn't take that long. It's not passes. Hours, it passes. And then I'm like, oh,
it's rare you're going to be crying for more than 20 minutes. Just let it out.
Yeah. Literally. Or just like anxiety. I'm like, okay, I'm anxious. I'm not even going to do anything. I'm just going to ride the anxiety and just like...
see how it goes.
And I don't have to panic. I don't have to package it. I just get to like exist in it. And I'm like, oh, I actually can do this.
Grown-up you is proving to little you can have anxiety.
I know.
Grown-up you is proving to little you can be sad. And we got you this. I got you. Just let it out, babe.
It feels like that. I got you. There's this, I know, there's this kind of romantic situation. And like there was like this pullback in energy. And I totally felt like my wounds kind of like opening up and being like, whatever. Yeah. Like in a huge way.
I'm the real ass friend too. Like you're like, can I ask for X, Y, and Z? I'm like, no, you can't. You look crazy.
Yes!
Like, I know.
I just needed to hear it.
You needed to hear it from me.
Thank you.
You're like, can I ask for reassurance? I'm like, you absolutely can't. You look needy and crazy.
Thank you.
Great for telling me the truth.
Thank you for telling me the truth. That's exactly what I needed to hear. And I woke up this morning and I felt so good.
You rode the wave. It's over.
I woke up. I wasn't thinking about it. Like, and you know, there
will be another wave, but like you rolled that wave. It's done.
I'm like, I didn't need anything from him.
Or from anybody else.
Right. I just let it be there.
You did it!
And so now I'm feeling proud. So,
good. You should feel proud. I'm proud.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay. Actually, let's start with the J. Cole apology, because I feel like that's just the easiest. What did you think about J. Cole? First of all, are you a J. Cole fan?
I am not a part of J. Cole Hive. I'm not a Dreamviller.
Yeah.
But I like his music. I think he's really talented. I think he's definitely like, it's not weird to say he's one of the big three.
Have you seen him live?
Yes, I have. It was mediocre.
Where did you see him?
I saw him really early on, and when he was on tour with Young Thug.
Oh.
So that's why.
Well, I've seen him live. I saw him live. He did his, what was his really big album? Forest Hills Drive.
Mm-hmm, where he's sitting on the roof.
I went and saw him in Chicago to do that one. That
was supposed to be amazing.
That was lit. All the times I've seen him live were like post an album. I've seen him 3 times live. One of the times I got to be on stage, and that was fun.
Very lit.
I thought that was lit, but it might have just been lit because I was on stage.
It's very lit.
Yeah. And then the second time was the Chicago one, and he had a live band, and we were pretty close, so that was pretty dope. And then the third time was Soundset, and that was probably the worst time, but that's just because...
I have seen him at Soundset.
Festivals are difficult because...
You're there for the energy, not the music.
You're there for the energy, and also, like, unless you want to go up to the front and mosh, nobody around you cares about the music.
And I'm not doing that.
Yeah. I used to do that when I had a lot of grown men around me to be like, back up. But now, when it was just me as a girl, I'm not doing that shit. I'm not getting trampled.
There's so many different takes of this that are so interesting to me.
But wait.
Okay.
So, I love him. And I have I feel very connected to one of his mixtapes because it came out like a year before my dad died. And I like listened to it a lot while I was like grieving and sad. So I feel very personally connected to him. So I want to say that before I give my feedback because it's very fucking biased.
That's okay.
Okay. Also, so what is your take? I have 2 takes, but what is yours?
I kind of have 2 too.
Okay. They're probably going to be the same.
Probably.
Go.
I have to be honest in that I've been watching a lot of media about this. And so like a lot of my takes, I feel like amalgams of like other people's stuff because I don't know why this is so interesting to me. Like why it's feeding like all the stuff. It's like it's like my little rap, like, or my little like music nerd like loves this type of shit.
Oh, me too.
And exactly. We both like nerd out over music, I feel like. But like, I don't, as a man, like, as someone who's like, you know, is familiar with his discography, is familiar with like the stuff that he talks about in his music, and like him being that honest and getting on stage and like saying this doesn't sit right with my spirit. Like I've lost sleep over this. Like this is somebody who like I really admire. Like I don't want to, this is not me. I like really respect that.
Mm-hmm.
Him saying, you know, I haven't slept this badly in 10 years because I don't do shit like this. Like,
that was giving first world problems.
First world problems.
That was the part that pissed me off the most, actually, was like,
this is the biggest issue.
I mean, I heard rumblings in the community about some of the shit you be doing on your girl, and you losing sleep over that.
And it's giving cheating. And he talks about it openly, too, which is also...
So I'm like, you've been sleeping well for the last 10 years? Exactly. Sorry, that pissed me off.
No, it did, no.
Maybe he hasn't been cheating. Maybe he's been faithful for the last 10 years, but not from what I've heard from industry people.
He talks about wanting to cheat on this Red Leather track that he just dropped with Future, which was wild. He's like, Future must be doing something right with 20 bitches. Anyway.
For me, it pissed me off that this is what you're losing sleep over. All of the world issues, you've been sleeping well every night.
It was that shit. I just felt like, I don't think he meant it that way.
I don't think he did either. He's an artist. He's using symbolism.
He's being extra.
Yeah.
My thing is like, you got up at Dream. So as a man, as a therapist, as like someone who like...
Why do you keep saying you're a man? I love it. You kept saying, you said as a man twice.
Because I feel like this is part of the discourse, that you don't see men take accountability in that way or like apologize in that way. And like I don't think you see many people do it, period. But it's such like a non-masculine thing to do. I think specifically in the Black community, in like rap, you would never concede like defeat or that like, or say that you were wrong in like starting something. So I think it's like it's a big deal for like masculinity. It's a big deal for those things. As also someone who's just like culturally like, why would you do that? Like, so here's how you entered into a beef that you weren't in.
You're whispering.
You entered into a beef that you weren't in, that nobody asked you to be in. It makes sense that he would maybe enter into it. Like, it's the big three, it's whatever, it's all that stuff.
He also dubbed them the big three. So it was a slight shot to him that he basically said, don't you think you're on my level? I'm better than you.
He said,
he didn't say that, but that was what he was insinuating.
No, he dubbed them all the big three. But then he like, and most people, I think this too, when I read, like, the diss that he sent wasn't really a diss. Like, he was saying, like, don't make me diss you. Like, I don't really want to do this.
Yeah, even people were calling it a warning shot.
A warning shot, which he said. He said this is a warning shot, like, in the rap or whatever. I just, like, what was really going to happen? No blood was really going to be spilled. None of them are, like, going to go and shoot each other. This was going to be, like, lyric for lyric. And so for me, just, like, you apologize and you don't want to go bar for bar with Kendrick Lamar, but you can't ever say that you're the greatest ever again. You can be the greatest to your fan base. You can be a great, great rapper. You can never say that you're the best again. You can never listen to his stuff ever again. I agree. And you can't, like, even if you're not, part of being a rapper, I feel like, is thinking that you're the best. You have to have that, like, that ego, that this or that.
I think what you're talking about is the sport. Like, if you think of rap as a sport, so, like, and I'll go to him as a person after this, but I think if you think about rap as a sport, it would be like,
he's been talking big shit.
It'd be like if when Kobe was alive, he conceded that somebody was better than him. You'd be so disappointed as a Kobe stan. What do you mean?
And it's probably true. Ever. He's probably not I don't know, but like.
Or like if LeBron was like, you know what, actually Michael Jordan is better than me, right? Like when you think about it from a sport place, which I think how people see hip hop beefs as rap beefs as sport.
It just
think about it as sport. He there's a competitive nature to sports that makes it inherently fun to watch. And there's a competitive nature to rap that makes it inherently fun to consume when you are into rap. And he removed that from all of us. We all know it's a sport. We all know you don't think Kendrick's ass.
Right.
And so as a sports fan, it was like hard to watch. And
as an artist, I can also get it.
And at the same time, as a sports fan, he did something half-hearted that probably wasn't his best work because it wasn't a real diss.
Fair.
And Kendrick was about to come back shooting. And I don't think that he was afraid of Kendrick coming back shooting, but he was dipping his toe into something that was going to continue that he didn't want to do.
He realized, I actually don't want a part of this.
As an athlete, if we're thinking about it as the sport place, you shouldn't have entered the race if you didn't want to compete. And that's, I think, where people are coming from. I think it's valid.
It's valid. I'm not even saying it's right or wrong. I'm not even saying that it's not toxic, that it's not all these things. It's like, it's purely as like a...
It's about the sport, though.
It's just about
people
the sport.
aren't getting that part. It's about the sport.
It's about the sport.
And the thing that...
what it feeds us.
Taints rap sport is when real blood gets shed. And everybody knew that these niggas weren't street enough or beefing in a real way, that real blood was going to get shed. So they were geeked. Also, our generation has grown up with them as always, as vacillating between who's going to be the... If you were like a real rap fan growing up...
You were always paying attention to that.
You were watching J. Cole, Kendrick, and Drake compete coming up. Like, all their mixtapes were kind of around similar times. They were all competing to be like the next big guy when it was still Jay-Z, right? And so like...
And Kanye.
And so like, we've all been waiting for this. And we didn't know we wanted it until we knew we wanted it. And now everybody wants it.
And people are saying it's really like, you know how Jay-Z and Nas, it's like that with Drake and Kendrick.
People are saying that, but the comparison I like better is it was so funny because I had wrote this down a couple days ago and then I watched Brilliant Idiots today and I was like, now I can't say this, but I'll say it anyways because I'm dubbing it, is like I had also thought of the Michael Jackson Prince take. Like I see like Kendrick Lamar as Prince and I see Drake as Michael Jackson and I don't know who J. Cole is, but like the real battle was between them and he's just inserting himself in the mix.
Yes.
It's kind of how it feels. Like, so I like all of that. The part about him as a human that I really felt in my bones is like you did something that you didn't want to do because of peer pressure.
Totally.
And you couldn't sleep over that. And I can't sleep over when I do things that don't align with me either because someone made me. That also feels like ass to me. So that's the part as a human I get. But you ruined the sport.
Right.
Like we wanted to see you in the Hall of Fame and you'll still be in the Hall of Fame. But we wanted some titles under there. We wanted some MVP shit. And it was like you said, I'm never going back to All-Star Weekend. Like you just like, I don't know. I can't explain it. You took yourself out.
Like
you said you're not going to go play in the playoffs because it gets too grimy and the after game and pre-game talk. You said you weren't going to box anymore because you didn't want to get on the podium and talk shit. You deleted your social media because you didn't want to go back and forth. Like that's how it feels. And no, that's not what he did, but that's how it feels. Like you bowed out of the like entertaining performance part and we're all mad about it.
And you took it like, it's just like...
And you didn't need to shoot.
No.
And I think that's also like, and this is the part I respect, is like you do something that's out of character and you know the backlash you're going to get. Because even people are saying like, oh, he's afraid that his I even brought up like that his track could have been more like aggressive and all of that. And in theory, he's a really talented rapper. I fucking love him. He could have made
I think it could have gone harder.
He could have made a diss track back to whatever Kendrick, whoever dropped and kept it going. So I don't think it's like that much fear of that. I think it's like you got the ball rolling in something you didn't believe in and you're going to have to finish this. Like if you don't come out and apologize now and somebody drops a diss track, someone drops a diss track, you have to respond.
He does.
And so, like, he had to do it before there was any kind of diss track where he would have to respond. Because, again, this is the sport.
The thing that's interesting to me is, like, that he can still be in all the greatest conversations, like, lyrically, all that. On the surface, but behind closed doors, which is kind of what people have been saying, is, like...
I think Mal and Rory were talking about this, right?
Yes, yeah. and that they were saying, like... Which I thought about, because I talked about this with my brother, and he was like, other rappers aren't going to, like... Behind closed doors, like, nobody's putting you in their top whatever. Like, if you come with J. Cole and your top whatever, like, you can't...
Up the barbershop conversation. Like, you shot all of us in the foot who used to argue for you in the barbershop.
Yes.
Now we can't publicly say you the shit because we put...
It's embarrassing.
Because we want to be with J. Cole. Like, you ruined it.
And I get it. Like, I've heard, like, you know...
But
as a person, he did the honorable, like...
It's not even that. I just feel like, I don't even think it was honorable. I respect that he knew how much scrutiny he was going to get from this, and he did it anyways. He's the GOAT. And maybe we'll look back at this in 20 years and say that this shifted the direction of rap, and that you don't have to participate in it as a sport, and it can just be an art. But right now, in my heart, I've been arguing for you since I was 15.
You let us down.
That you were the best in the sport.
You let us down.
And you pulled us out. You pulled it out.
You let Nas down.
You did.
Cole let Nas down. Okay.
All right. Last but not least is the...
I'm excited about this
Let me check the time. Okay. Is the Michigan shooter. So in 2021, there was a shooting in Oxford High School in Michigan. I'm not going to say his first name, but someone as part of the Crumbly family killed 4 other kids. And this is the first time ever. So now we're in 2024. So it's been 3 years. And this is the first time ever that a parent has been convicted because their kid was a school shooter and is going to do some real time. It is so fascinating to me.
It is.
The levels to this, because it says it's setting a precedent. It's setting a new precedent in our country that you are responsible for the harm your children cause to other people, which has never been a thing. Ever been a thing. I know we're going to get into the details of the case, but first thoughts. What are you thinking when you hear, like, you could be responsible for your child's poor behavior? It feels like a duh.
It feels like a duh. The first thought I had just now was, if you have a child who, like, sexually assaults someone or does something, can you be responsible for going, like... Not yet, but it's going that way, and I'm not mad at it. I think I'm not mad at it. I don't know if it's good or bad or right or wrong. I'm not mad at it because I think more parents should take more responsibility for their children's behavior. They don't want to. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I don't know if I believe in, like, people going to jail over, like, somebody else's decisions inherently. Like, I don't know how I feel about that, but like,
especially because he's 17.
Especially because he's 17.
He's almost an adult,
and it's a slippery slope.
It's a very
slippery slope.
So anytime we talk about in these situations, like the government interjecting, even to do the right thing,
it's a slippery slope.
My first thought is, how is it going to be abused?
And how is it
immediately?
And how is it going to impact Black and brown people the most? Because it always does.
And poor people.
Right, exactly.
So I watched the sentencing that they did yesterday. It won't matter by the time we shoot it, but I watched the sentencing, and they had both parents go to trial separately. So they tried them separately, and they didn't let them talk during the entire time of the trial. They did a no contact order, so they couldn't talk. And so you said good.
They don't deserve comfort from
conniving ass bitches. And the reason why, so first of all, the recommended maximum was, I think, 7 years, and the judge chose 10 to 15. Separate equal sentencing. And the reason why she chose that is because she said that they repeatedly ignored signs a reasonable person wouldn't. And again, that is very subjective, not objective.
I think so too.
But when I heard the evidence, I believed that she was correct.
Yeah.
So basically what she cited is that they had no gun security and that parents were ignoring declining mental health. And when I heard the details of that day specifically, it made me question what's been going down in that house, first and foremost. But the day of the shooting, a teacher had saw that he had been writing and left a note. I don't know if he wanted it to be found or not. I'm going to guess he did. I work with a lot of kids who are homicidal. So this isn't new to me. And they want you to know because they're scared of their own thoughts. They know they're going to ruin their own life when they act on this. And there is a piece of them, no matter how big or small, that does not want to do that. Even if they don't care about the lives of other people. It's the self-preservation piece. Like, what am I going to do? So there was a letter or like a note where he had drawn like him shooting and killing other people, and then basically said, like, I can't stop my thoughts, help me. So they pull parents in, they have them come to school. They have a meeting. In the meeting, parents were flippant. They were like, I'm not taking my kid home. Like, I have to go back to work. And later that day, he shot up the school. And they didn't inform the school, which I'm sure the school asked. This is just me going out on a limb, but as someone who works in mental health, when you are suicidal or homicidal, our first question is like, what lethal means are you able to get access to? That's our first question. If you have an idea that you want to follow through on it, how hard is it to follow through? So I'm sure that they asked. And so they had no idea that he had access to a gun. And he killed those kids later that day. As the trial was going on, the parents showed their ass even more. The mom made a statement, and I quote, "I don't think I'm a failure as a parent," in reference to this. You are absolutely a failure as a parent.
She doesn't see it because he's separate from her in her eyes.
He's not.
No, I don't think so.
She's a failure as a parent.
She is.
Any parent who knows that their kid is having homicidal thoughts and doesn't drop everything to bring them to get help is a failure as a parent.
Is a failure as a parent.
I'm not saying it's your fault they have homicidal thoughts. I'm not saying you planted that in there. I'm not saying you're the ones who bullied them. I'm not saying you're the reason. But once you know, it is absolutely your responsibility to make sure that your kid is not a danger to themselves or others.
Don't play about that shit.
Ever. And then during the time the trial was going on, they have audio recordings of the dad calling the prosecutor and threatening them, threatening their physical safety, threatening their career. And so these are just snippets. They're just moments in time. But boy, do they say a lot about the character of these parents. I don't think these parents got something they didn't deserve. And I don't think... And I feel like this now. This is why I would never own a gun, because I would feel personally responsible if my kid got into that gun. I think about that now, and I don't have children. I think about it more of like a 2-year-old finding a gun and shooting themselves than I do about...
It makes my body hurt thinking like...
Well, and everybody's like, the ammo's separate, and all of that's true, and...
On the it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
It's just on the off chance.
And the off chance.
And there always is a fucking, like...
On the off chance. Or if you have a kid like that who is like a school shooter and all they have to do is get into your gun, they don't have to get in your ammo. They'll get ammo from someone else. Like, it's just like, there's so much responsibility when you have a weapon that deadly.
Is this long enough time for them? Is this fresh enough for you?
10 to 15 years is long enough for me, especially because they're like in their 50s or whatever. Like, yeah, that's fine to me. You'll get out old. I think it's more about, like, you are getting charged what someone who actually committed manslaughter would be getting charged. Like, you did something wrong. Like, you committed a crime.
And he turned the gun on himself? Did he commit suicide?
No. He got sentenced. He's getting life.
That never happens.
What do you mean? Oh, that they don't kill themselves?
Yeah.
I know. And I don't know the stories of exactly that, because I was more interested in the parent piece, but no.
Do you think that they are charging the parents because he's alive?
I think...
I don't even know why I'm thinking. It literally just popped into my head.
I think they're charging the parents because it was... I couldn't think of any... Like, I think if the school incident hadn't happened, they wouldn't have much to stand on unless they had other documentation that the parents knew. I think they're charging the parents because there's rarely a case that it's so blatant. Like, he's made threats today, come get your kid, and you're like, no, I have to work. And, you know, once they got convicted, of course, mom changed her tune and was like, I feel bad. And obviously I didn't know, but mom was still trying to blame dad. It was like, well, it's dad's gun. It was his responsibility to lock it up. I'm like, you guys are together. Ooh. You're married. You're in a house together.
There was some shit happening in that house.
Some shit happened. What do you think was happening?
I think dad was whooping everybody's ass.
Brows.
I think that the kid sounds like some shit was happening, either being like sexually or like violently abused in some way. And mom was probably like on the sidelines, not giving a fuck, and was also, I don't know, like, sounds like...
What do you think this means for school shooting going forward? Do you think it changes anything? Do you think that...
I don't think it makes it less. I think it makes parents maybe, hopefully, like, pay the fuck attention maybe a little bit more.
I think it changes the...
I don't think it ever does.
But... I think it changes the conversation. I think now every time that there's a school shooter, there will be a conversation about whether or not the parent should be charged.
I agree.
I think it shifts it.
I have a weird thought that, like, it actually makes school shooters want to do it more because they already have...
Fuck my mom and dad!
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like that vindictive street.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. That's, like, might be a total reach, but...
I could see that.
I hope it changes the conversation. It feels like every time there's, like, a school shooting, there's, like, some new thing that adds to the layer, and nothing changes.
It's really interesting because a lot of the kids I work with, their parents don't believe they're responsible for their mental health. A lot of the kids who have severe mental health, their parents are like, my kid's the problem. My kid needs to fix it. This is not about how I raise them. And so I'm not surprised at all that these parents don't feel like this is their fault. I think a lot of parents feel like my kid has like free will and autonomy, and like the things that they do are their choice and they should know better. And I think there's some truth to that, but I also think that like children are the product of your environment. It's the environment you gave them.
Do you feel like mental health is the thing that is either getting over-talked in kind of like gun stuff and kind of school, like shootings, or do you feel like it's something that's under-talked and under-discussed or discussed in the wrong way?
I feel like mental health is a conversation at times when it's a person that we want to have empathy for. And then I think if we have a different narrative for them, we choose that, like terrorist. I think if we could place it on terrorism, or like racism, we would do that before mental health. But if we don't have any of that, we give it to mental health. And I think what it really is anytime something tragic happens, we want to put our finger on it and say, this person did something wrong, because it makes us feel like if we were in that situation, we wouldn't be out of it. We would save ourselves. We would prevent it from happening.
Well,
it gives power.
We can't sit in that ambiguity.
No.
There has to be something wrong. There has to be somebody responsible.
I don't think most people think about this when they walk throughout the world, and you shouldn't, because it would drive you insane. Like, think about when you're in a tunnel, like you're driving in a tunnel in rush hour traffic, like you are relying on the other 100 people in that tunnel not to have a mental breakdown and kill you.
Every day.
We are having collective trust in the people around us at all times, and we don't want to think about it.
We don't want to think about it.
When you go into a mall, you're trusting everybody in that mall.
We are all
when
in
you
a
go to
collective
school,
agreement. We're in agreement together to not fuck shit up for everybody else.
All the time. And so, like, these are one of those moments that pokes and pops that bubble. That little bubble we all like to live in, where we feel like we're safe as long as we don't make mistakes.
Somebody did not give a fuck about the thing that we're all agreeing to.
They did not agree to that if you don't do anything wrong, nothing happens.
They actually want to break it. They want to do the opposite. They want to cause terror, or whatever the thing is. And for some reason, we all don't want to think about it.
We can't think about it.
What would be but I just mean like the conditions that would go into creating that for some reason. And I get it. It's like, it feels like individual cases so often. Like, there's not like 5 people going into a school and shooting up everybody. It's individual this, individual that. And so people don't want to think of it as an epidemic.
It is an epidemic.
It is an epidemic.
I think people see it as an epidemic. I actually disagree with that. I think people have surmised the reason that all these school shooters are happening. And I think they've surmised that it's like bullying / like not having access to women who want to date them / like self-hate.
Like some incel shit.
Yeah, incels is what people say. Like, oh, these men who can't get women, they hate themselves, they're isolated, they're miserable, they're bitter, they've been bullied at school. I think we have talked a lot about it, and we've kind of dismissed it as this thing that just exists that some kids just can't handle.
They're just these losers. They're just these losers that can't handle life, and they should be taken off the map anyway.
Yes.
That's the sentiment from people.
So I do think there is, like, people have put thought and time and energy into it, and I don't think that necessarily, like, I don't know why the spike in school shooting has happened. I really don't know why it's so prevalent. I couldn't make up a story that makes sense to me. That's not just like some bullshit I've already heard on the internet that I'm repeating. No. Like, I can't, like, there's nothing intuitively.
It's all conjecture.
That makes sense to me.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Except that if I wanted to die anyways, this is a way to be remembered.
There's something, and there's something about it to me. Somebody brought that up, that's uniquely American. Like, wanting that kind of like...
It's like talking about your second death. There's a lot of people who don't care about the second death. So the first death is when you actually die, and the second death is the last time your name was spoken. And some people perseverate their whole life on what their second death is going to be. I have to be famous. I have to have a legacy. I have to have these things. And I think that there's a lot of people, including me, who just feels like that second death is inevitable, and I don't give a shit.
Same. I don't give a fuck.
But that does feel American.
It feels American.
To be remembered and special. And what am I going to do with this freedom? And how am I going to be great?
All this stuff. But it's like the problem, the specific problem of school shootings is uniquely American.
Yes.
People are not. And so there has to be something like culturally wrong with us living here. There's something about our culture. There's something about us that is facilitating this. And maybe it is that we just have more guns per capita than other nations. I also really don't. I don't know the numbers. I don't know any of that shit.
We do have more guns, but I don't know if that's it either, because I think we always had more guns.
We've always had more guns.
So why have they spiked? Why has it spiked now?
Right. So I'm saying, and so it's like,
it doesn't help.
Right. It doesn't help. And I don't know if we're more violent than other nations. I don't know if I buy that. Like,
so when I think about safety, so kids come to the hospital, right? And we do a safety plan. And basically the safety plan is like, if you're homicidal, how do I keep you from killing somebody? If you're suicidal, how do I keep you from killing yourself? Whatever the thing is. So the idea with safety planning is that you have autonomy. Like, as a person, if you want to really kill yourself, you can. If you really want to kill somebody, you can. And so what we're doing is we're trying to, because most people act on those things in a moment of being dysregulated emotionally. They have big emotions, whether they're anger, sadness, hopelessness,
even happiness,
fear, whatever. They have really big emotions, and then they act during those emotions. So what we're doing is like, I'm taking all the pills out of your house, not because I don't think that you could go to Walgreens and buy them, but because most people, by the time they get to Walgreens, are going to calm down and not buy them. Most times
they're going to have that second thought.
That's the same thing with the buying a gun in the waiting period. Like, I'm really angry right now. If I could get this gun today, I'm going to shoot my wife. I might sleep on it and not shoot my wife. I know that sounds trivial, but it's true.
It's the reasonings by it.
It's true. And so that's how, like, the gun crisis is a problem, is that it's too accessible. It's too easy. You get to do it in moments of anger and of rage.
You can walk into a Walmart and get a gun.
Where the school shooter doesn't apply is he clearly planned this.
Yes, and they always plan it. It's always premeditated.
Yes.
It's always a gun that they got at the home. There's like...
He sat on it all day.
Right.
And waited until the end of the school day and lit that shit up.
Right. When it was busy.
He sat on it.
Right.
He planned it. And so safety planning wouldn't have necessarily even worked. But what does it say about the fact that, like, your kid had fucked up mental health and clearly was on a teacher's radar? Because teachers don't just check kids' notes.
No.
So was on a teacher's radar as the weird kid. And you guys did nothing to stop them? Weren't you worried he was going to kill himself? Like, weren't you worried your kid who was off was going to kill himself?
The parents are off because I always get the sense that parents are off in these situations. They're never just these normal families. It's
rarely.
Rarely. Rarely. They're absent or they're neglectful or there was abuse or, a parent, there was some sort of rift that happened. Like, maybe not even extreme trauma, it sounds like, when we don't always know, but there's always like some sort of like adjustment or something for the kid or some sort of loneliness or they're isolated in some way. And it's like, parents have to key into that shit a little bit more. You have to be interested in your kids' lives. You have to be interested in like what's going on. Like,
it's interesting though, because them charging these parents with this is like literal legal proof that now it's not just good enough to provide a roof over your kid's head. It's not enough.
You can't just be a provider and that's enough.
Not enough. You are now responsible for your kids' mental health legally.
And their emotional well-being. It is your job to make sure that your child...
I just had a point. Sorry.
That's true.
Mood. But no, I never thought about it until this moment, but it is that. It is, I think, maybe one of the first legal stamps to be like, you are actually kind of in charge of your kids' mental health. And if their mental health is so bad they hurt other people, that's on you. And that's never been a conversation. Parents, how many parents say, like, what am I supposed to do besides put a roof over your head? I provide for you. I bring you to things. I do material things for you. Not enough. And the law says so, too.
And the law says so, too.
That's a good place to end.
Should we pause there?
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah. See you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Let me take you away. All I need is just saying, yeah. Better nights, better days. When you're here with me, babe. 'Cause you're all that I crave, so I...
MBC. No relation to NBC.